Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and well, we have another package, which you know what that probably means. From Walmart, of course, and yeah, this is of another pretty exciting item, and of course it's another Rebirth thing, since like every single package I've ordered recently has been for a Rebirth item. Interestingly, this one did not come in a box like literally all the other ones, so yeah, there's that. I'm just gonna cut this open. Of course you clicked on the video, so you already know what's in here. But I'm going to pretend like you don't. And it is absolutely massive. You can probably see it now. It is the Bite and Blast Mosasaurus. See if we can get this out. Man, this thing looks cool and it's way bigger than I was expecting. So, yeah. This figure looks pretty interesting already, just looking at it. If I scoot it back some. Here it is, the new Jurassic World Rebirth Bite and Blast Mosasaurus. A lot of the Rebirth figures are finally becoming available on Walmart. I think like the official release date was June 1st, which is today, so ordered this kind of like pretty early in the morning, but anyways, it's here. I actually have another figure coming tomorrow, which should be, that review should come out tomorrow, though assuming the package actually comes on time. But anyways, let's take a close look at this Mosasaurus. So first we have the Mosasaurus kind of on the packaging right there. Bite and Blast Mosasaurus, the Try Me thing, which if we press that, see, this thing can just open it. Honestly, it's kind of cool actually to have a Mosasaurus with an action feature, so that's pretty cool. Then we have kind of pictures of it over here. I actually really like this box, and I don't know if the black and red color is just growing on me, but I think the black and red kind of works, at least up here. On this part, I think the black and red actually kind of works on this packaging. On the bottom, not so much, but up here, I think it actually kind of works on the Mosasaurus figure. And we have just plain red on this side. Then we have the back. Mosasaurus. And a bunch of other random things. The Jurassic Facts app is actually updated now, so I might actually show a segment of me scanning this guy in the Jurassic Facts app. But yeah. Then we have the Jurassic World Rebirth logo again. Bottom of the box. Nothing too interesting. We're going to have to assemble the tail, and plus, I think 2 of the flippers on this side are not attached. So this is going to take a while to get open. But it's such to actually get this figure out of the packaging. Actually, first I want to take another closer look at this thing in the packaging. You look up here and kind of see it. This is unlike the Spinosaurus. I can't put this back in the box really, so kind of want to take a closer look at it now. But we have the little Dilophosaurus here, which I don't think I have a Dilophosaurus minifigure, or do I? Oh yeah, no, I do have a Dilophosaurus minifigure, and it seems to be the exact one. Only difference is that this one is molded in a different color of green. And also has a red frill, but we'll take a closer look at that in a second. Anyways, let me get my scissors, which again, my lighting sucks as usual, except it's not as bad today. It's still pretty bad, but it's not as bad as usual, because man, my lighting sucks at times. Hopefully that fixes it a little bit, so when we take a little closer look at it, should be a bit better now, but yeah. Anyways, let's just cut these strings up here. It should hopefully get the figure out of the box. Kind of. Oh wait, no, there's 2 more down here. I didn't even see those. So yeah, honestly, I hope Mattel releases more marine reptiles, since we're only getting 2 for Rebirth so far, unless you're counting Purosaurus, which then it's 3. Really hope we get more. But oh yeah, we had the Mosasaurus out. Let me get this string around its flipper off, which yeah, okay, there we go. So yeah, that's the Mosasaurus pretty much out of the packaging. This side completely empty. Like, I mean, I need to actually attach the flippers and also the end of the tail, but already so far pretty cool. And I think I can already kind of show the action feature off. Again, we're going to take a closer look at this in a second. We can kind of like thrash it around. I probably should have tried the action feature while it's still in the box. Let me do that real fast, because I didn't really try the action feature. You can kind of actually get the action feature to work in the packaging. Really just the chomping though. Can't really get the side-to-side motion really, but yeah. All the other pieces are in the bottom of the box, I believe, so I'm going to actually need to cut the tape here. Hopefully they're in there pretty easily, so they're easy to actually take out. And not a big struggle that damages the box. So far, pretty easy. I think this whole thing's going to need to be taken out to open this part, which has the flippers. Yeah, they're all down there in the back. I actually think this is really cool packaging. Empty. Hopefully Mattel releases maybe a Jurassic Park the game Tylosaurus, either as a Hammond Collection figure or even as a mainline figure with packaging kind of similar to this. Oh, I actually forgot to get the little Dilophosaurus out of the packaging, which They were so close to making perfect packaging to stick figures into, like to keep the box perfect at the end. But then they had to put the Dilophosaurus minifigure in here, which I'm tempted to, which hopefully this tape peels up and it can just kind of come off. And maybe I cannot damage it. Okay, I already damaged the box some. And it's like attached down. I might as well just rip this. I actually, now that I think of it, probably not going to even keep this box. So I guess it's alright that I just ripped the bottom part to get the Dilophosaurus out. It would have been cool to get, like, honestly, if we would have gotten like a full size. Oh, this is actually really rubbery. I haven't really got any of the newer minifigures, so I don't know if they're all rubbery like this or it's just this one, but this Dilophosaurus minifigure is really rubbery. So, yeah, I am curious if, honestly kind of forgot what I was saying, actually. Oh, yeah, kind of would have wished that we would have gotten like a full-size Dilophosaurus, though I guess they didn't do that because it's too big, but we'll check that in a second when we get on to the size comparison. Notice you can see the thing in the back of the mouth kind of moving forward. Again, I'll probably take a closer look at this when I actually get on to like the reviewing part of this video. Okay, you can't really see it because it's horrible lighting. Can you see it now? You can kind of see the mechanism in the back pushing forward. But, yeah. Yeah, honestly, it would have been cool to see like a mini marine reptile or even like a shark. I know sometimes they don't do modern day animals too often in the sets, but they do sometimes. It would have been cool to see a little Dilophosaurus. I mean, a little shark or something. Though I actually had a crazy theory that was kind of just for a joke that maybe the Mosasaurus would eat a Dilophosaurus in the film, and then I've seen more recent theories that are like actually serious about it. Maybe basically eating a Dilophosaurus, then maybe like the acid irritating its mouth so it spits it out. But yeah. Anyways, here are the tail and flippers. Let me actually angle this down and make it a little bit easier. Again, hopefully get this lighting to not suck, but yeah. Anyways, we have the tail, which is pretty new. It's interesting. Honestly, I think the one in Rebirth actually has a more accurate tail than this, which I kind of wish this tail was accurate too. But, oh well. More accurate than the other Mosasaurus. Then we have the two flippers right here, which looks pretty cool, but we can get the scan code right now because, trust me, it'll be easier to do it this way. I can just hold the flipper up. So, yeah. Nice that you don't have to attach all four. You just have to do the two on this side, which I'm guessing... Oh, man, how does this go in? I'm guessing something similar to just kind of pushing it in or something like that. Or does it have to go backwards like... I don't know. Does it just push it? There's probably some instructions somewhere which I probably should look at to actually install this. Because this flipper does not look like it should be able to install. Let me try the smaller one because that one should be a bit easier. Hopefully. Yeah, I think I just got to push this in really hard. Okay, yeah, there you go. That goes in. I wonder if the flippers come off. I kind of don't want to risk it. But, yeah. That was actually super easy, so... Really curious how I get this one on, especially since it has, like, way more prongs. Is that in? No, it's definitely not. Let's do the tail first, and then I'll loop back around to the flipper, which this tail... Also, it's interesting that they made it, like, flesh pink, but, yeah. So there you go. There's the tail part attached, and this thing's very long and cylindrical. And then, give me a minute to get this flipper on. Okay, I got it in. I recommend the straighten out the kind of part that attaches to here so it's easier to push in. But yeah, we have the Bite and Blast Mosasaurus, which let me put in a position that is kind of good for the review, just to kind of have it at like a more upwards position. Kind of like the old Mosasaurus. Let's see if it can even do that. Okay, it can do that, so that's nice. This thing is really long, so I'm probably going to need to angle it in a better way so you can actually see the whole thing. But yeah, this thing is absolutely colossal like the other Mosasaurus. Definitely not on scale with the one in the movie, because the one in the movie is absolutely freakishly kaiju-sized large, but yeah. Anyways, let's take a closer look at the actual figure sculpt. So, I'm actually going to put the flippers back down, even though I just went through the process of putting them up. Move this out of the way. And, of course, the lighting kind of sucks. Give me a moment. Anyways, you can see the head sculpt, which is really similar to the old Mosasaurus head sculpt, kind of. Actually, it has quite a few differences. I can kind of see my other Mosasaurus on the shelf over there. It does look quite a bit different, actually. One big noticeable difference is that it has lips. The Rebirth Mosasaurus kind of has lips, but at the same time kind of doesn't. So I'm guessing maybe this is based off an early design. I actually kind of like it without the lips. Also, I actually kind of like... Okay, I meant to say I like it with the lips. I think the lips look really nice, though the Rebirth design without the lips kind of pulls it off since the teeth are a bit smaller on that one. But, yeah, anyways, the head sculpt, pretty simple. It's nothing too crazy. Again, if we look inside the mouth, we have these rubber teeth, which look amazing. They're just really big spike-like teeth. Also, you can see the ones on the roof of the mouth. They even put those in. Honestly, these rubber teeth are really nice. Also, again, you can see the mechanism all the way in the back. That kind of, again, you can't really see it because it's so dark back there, but you can kind of see me pulling it forward. This thing's mouth is just so deep that it's kind of hard to show things off, but again, you can kind of see it back there, and you can see I can kind of pull it forward, and you can spring backwards. Anyways, here's the head from the front. This is like a really thick Mosasaurus head. Then we can have the front torso, which is very thick. Though I remember when these, like, the images for the Rebirth figures were first kind of coming out, when we first saw the Mosasaurus, and man, every new image we got, it either looked significantly better or significantly worse. Depending on which image you saw of this thing could have looked like the best Mosasaurus figure ever to the absolute worst Mosasaurus figure ever. Because from, like, some angles, like, I don't know. There's just some angles where it looks really weirdly proportioned, where I think it's kind of like, it is still weirdly proportioned, I'd say, the final figure, but it's like most angles, it looks pretty fine. Kind of one you have to see in person before really saying much about. But, yeah. Anyways, we can go down the body. It actually does have osteoderms, kind of, these, like, kind of bumps, though they're not crocodilian, there's way less of them, so I think they're way better on this. The actual design in the film has this, too. Also, the coloration, I actually did not think the coloration of the Rebirth Mosasaurus is going to be super similar to the figure, but now we have some better renders and looks at the animal. It actually has these patterns, and these patterns do look really nice. It kind of looks like a dark watermelon, which, again, for some reason, this lighting is making it look way darker and less saturated than it actually is. Because if I can just get the right lighting, well, the right lighting, you would be able to see that this figure is actually very vibrant. Yeah, this is a little bit more accurate to the actual color of the figure, though I'd say maybe even a little bit more vibrant. My phone is just not capturing that very well. But, yeah. Anyways, going down to the flippers, they're kind of green and they curve down to a point. I think they should be a bit more rounded. I can't tell if the one in the movie is a bit more rounded, but, yeah. There's the back flippers, kind of turn like that. And then going down to the tail, again, you can see very long, very eel-like. And also just with a simple kind of darker color, which I think works out pretty nice. This is probably one of the best painted Rebirth figures because the paint on the underbelly, for example, goes all the way down for pretty much this part of the tail. This is easily the best, like, paint distribute, like, the best amount of paint, like, kind of distributed on the figure. Even the other Rebirth figures that are, even the movie ones, like T-Rex and Spinosaurus, don't have much paint, though. To be fair, Spinosaurus in the film didn't have much colorations. T-Rex, on the other hand, has a big variety of colorations. If it was kind of hued like this, that would be so much better. And I think the Lab Lockdown T-Rex looks a bit better. The actual, like, bigger one, I really don't like the color paint scheme on that one, but the Lab Lockdown one I think works. But, anyways, back to the Mosasaurus. Again, the sculpt looks amazing. Now for articulation, the flippers, they actually, like, kind of click into place, so they're not messing around and stuff. But you can pretty much move them forward, backwards, and you can also move them outwards, so that you can have them kind of in a more natural Mosasaurus position. Hind flippers can do the same thing. Backwards, actually, they can go all the way around. I think the front ones can't. Let me try that again in a second. Yeah, the back ones can go all the way around, and they can go all the way out. So you can have the Mosasaurus kind of properly laying, and also this thing's very front heavy. But, yeah, can these flippers turn all the way around? Yeah, no, the front ones can go all the way around. So, yeah, there's that. Then there's, of course, the body, which is part of the action feature. The jaw, which is also part of the action feature, where the upper and lower jaw actually open. Kind of like the Spinosaurus, which does the same thing. The tail, part of the action feature, but that wiggles. And then this part of the tail rotates all the way around. You can actually have it upside down, which surprisingly doesn't look as bad on this figure than it does on other ones. But, yeah. There's also a button here, which actually controls the action feature. Just barely tapping that already. You see, but pretty much when you press the button, it chomps and opens its mouth. Very loud, without even being electronic, just because of the slapping of the lips alongside the sound of the mechanism in the mouth. Super loud. Anyways, apparently if you hold it on here and you shake the tail, it kind of swims, which this action feature, I mean, it kind of works, yeah. At first I was saying it doesn't really work, but it's just not super strong, but it does work very well. Again, really hard to get in the frame because this thing is so massive. We'll get into size comparisons in a second, but yeah. You can kind of see, shake the tail and it kind of swims. It's kind of like the Spinosaurus' tail, where pretty much the mechanism is so weak that it can't lift up. Like the Spinosaurus' tail, if you have it turned like this and see it from the top angle, the tail does not flop. The neck is strong enough where it flops like that, but the tail doesn't flop like that. This Mosasaurus is kind of the same, where the neck cannot, the torso cannot move if it's not, like, perfectly flat. that's probably why it wasn't going very strongly. But yeah, it can thrash around, which is pretty cool. So yeah. Now let's actually show that action feature with the Dilophosaurus minifigure, which again, actually let's take a closer look at this guy. I completely forgot about it, but yeah, very rubbery, like more rubbery than like any of the rubber figures or anything. Just super rubbery. Anyways, it has no articulation, but you can kind of bend it in any way you'd like very easily because this thing is so rubbery. But yeah, same as any of the other mini Dilophosaurus sculpts, literally the same as this one. I think this is one of the basic ones or something. But anyways, if you have this Dilophosaurus, you already have the Rebirth one, except it's not rubbery. And also it doesn't come with a really good Mosasaurus figure. So, yeah. Very similar. Pretty much, in fact, they are literally identical. Same sculpt. So, yeah. I think, again, actually, I'm not going to lie. I might repaint maybe just this one to make it look like the novel Dilophosaurus. It'd be like a baby version of the novel Dilophosaurus, and then use it with this Mosasaurus, because I think that would be really cool. Again, I think the novel Dilophosaurus would have been so good in Rebirth. It would have fit the theming of it kind of being like an abandoned facility for very dangerous dinosaurs to explain why Dilophosaurus is here, since it would be a way larger dinosaur. It'd be like maybe like a full grown or a different variant of it that's way larger, more dangerous. Also, just the color palette, they're kind of going with more patterns and more exotic colors would have worked so well. The novel was kind of bright yellow, and like, I can't even explain it. Just look up Jurassic Park novel Dilophosaurus and you'll see its colors are absolutely amazing. But anyways, back to the Mosasaurus. Pretty much, you can just eat this, which thankfully, this is like the only Rebirth figure I've seen so far outside of the Utahraptor that actually the bite force strong enough to bite things. And even then, the Utahraptor is pretty weak. The Spinosaurus can literally hold nothing in its mouth. The Mosasaurus, though, on the other hand, can actually grab things with its jaws, which is really nice to see a difference. And also having a Mosasaurus with action features, never realized how nice it is until now. It is really nice. But yeah, anyways, we can throw the little mini Dilophosaurus, shove it down its throat, so you can see it's all the way back there pretty much. And it closes very nicely. I would love to see this with a human figure. I don't think I've really seen any videos of people using this action feature with a human figure, or even put a human figure in this thing's mouth and see how well it's closed. But pretty much, should be able to just blast it out of the mouth. Let's try. And the action feature works better than I would expect, especially since the mechanism doesn't seem that strong, but it is strong enough. And also, like in the original presentation, some people do, you have to kind of like thrust it and it really launches. But also, you don't even need to do that. You just kind of... This is an action feature I was kind of skeptical of, but it works well enough, even without thrusting it or anything. Which, you have to actually have the Dilophosaurus really shoved back there. But trust me, if you like, that's just kind of pressing it and thrusting it really throws it. So yeah, I definitely recommend thrusting the figure kind of forward when doing that. Let's try with the other Dilophosaurus. This one's like a little bit made of like a denser rubber, so let's see. Blast out, actually I think that's kind of blast out a little bit better. And then... Also, another thing, when I was covering the sculpt, I did not really mention, is that the Mosasaurus has kind of like the two nostrils on the top, which is that accurate for Mosasaurs? I don't know if they actually have their nostrils on the top of their heads like this, kind of like whales, but yeah. Now, on to the size comparison, which, in the size comparison, I'll compare it to a few things and see how well it fit into its mouth and how well it can blast things. So, hold on a minute for that, but, yeah, my angles are back down. If I could pull this all the way out just to see how massive this figure is. It is a very long figure. Also, let me put the little Dilophosaurus here for scale as well. So that's the little Dilophosaurus compared to it. It gets absolutely dwarfed by it. And let's say a human, like if you get one of the mini humans that kind of come, like they were releasing for a little bit, probably be about this tall where my finger is. Like a little bit taller than the Dilophosaurus. So that's probably how big the Mosasaurus in movie is kind of scaled. But yeah. I think this Mosasaurus is definitely way smaller than the Jurassic World Mosasaurus by the point of Dominion, but still massive. This figure measures in at, well, almost, like I say, about 26 inches long, or about 2 feet 2 inches, which is really long, and its height, I'd say, is about 5 inches tall. And in width, if you're including the flippers, I think it's about, actually, I'd say it's almost like a foot wide, including the flippers out, but you're not including like the flippers, just the body. I'd say it's about 4 inches. So, yeah, this is a absolutely massive figure. Also, Dilophosaurus minifigure. Again, measuring in about 3.5 inches long. And I say at the top of the tail, I say 2.25 inches, but at the top of like the head / hip / frame, I'd say about 1.5. So, yeah, this is a very small little mini Dilophosaurus. I'm going to actually put this minifigure back on the shelf since I don't really need it anymore. But let's actually compare it to a few things. So, first... Here's a human figure from Mattel, which I'm going to actually try to get this lighting over here a bit better so that you can actually see the new Mosasaurus figure instead of the lighting being really wonky, and if I can even get the focus on. Anyways, here's a Mattel human figure compared to them. Again, not in scale. This is actually closer in scale to like real life Mosasaurus, which is nice. So, yeah, you can see it's massive. Now, something I am really curious to see is if it will fit in the Mosasaurus's mouth comfortably. And unfortunately, it doesn't. Well, wait, nope, no, it does. It actually does fit there in a way in which, like, it completely closes the mouth, which is really nice to see. Also probably means I can blast a human figure out of the mouth. Oh, that was not a very good blast, admittedly. You kind of actually have to put it in there when we're, like, because the mechanism kind of pokes out, so you have to kind of push it back as the mechanism closes when you're closing the mouth. But, yeah, let's actually try to blast this human out of the mouth. And it blasts pretty well. So Mosasaurus can eat and spit out a human. And if I thrust it out a little bit, very good. And also, again, one of the only Rebirth figures that can actually pick up a human. Also, kind of nice. Kind of looks like how when a marine animal goes underwater, picks that kind of turns. The whole entire body kind of tilts, which is cool because of the action feature. But you can open the mouth, pick up a human figure, kind of. Even then, the Mattel, I honestly didn't even tell to make their bite forces a bit stronger, since this is like the strongest bite force on like a Mattel figure I think I've seen so far, outside of Snap Squads, and even then, it still has issues picking up a human. So, yeah. But, yeah, it can fit a human in his mouth, which is really nice, completely, without, like, seeing it at all. Kind of see. Bring it a bit closer again. Sorry for it being really dark, but, there you go. Completely gone, and then you can just spit the human out. So that's really nice. I think a human figure is about the biggest thing you can put in this thing's mouth before it just cannot swallow it anymore. But now let's compare it to a few other Rebirth figures. And of course, I know you guys probably really want to see it next to the animals within the film, these new Spinosaurus. And since I have that figure, let's compare it to the Utahraptor first, because, yeah, I'm going to make you guys wait. Anyways, the Utahraptor, sized up against the Mosasaurus really nicely. It's actually, I think the Utahraptor, again, is definitely oversized. Not by much, but it is oversized, definitely, for the real-life animal. Utahraptor should be more like here. So, like, a little bit shorter, but, yeah. Also, we have Mosasaurus, which is surprisingly undersized, I think, slightly. It could actually be a bit bigger. But, yeah, here's it connected to the Mosasaurus, which it sizes up pretty nicely with. So, yeah. Next, we finally, I will not make you wait much longer. Here's the next to the actual Spinosaurus figure, which it is actually, yeah, it is quite a bit longer than the other Spinosaurus figure. I don't feel like getting my other Spinosaurus off the shelf, so just have to go see how that sized up next to this Spinosaurus, which is pretty similar in size. But, yeah, absolutely dwarfed, kind of. Definitely not to scale how they would be in the film. Also, another thing, definitely want to say, is one thing I really disliked about the old Mosasaurus was the tail. It stuck upwards, and I always thought it was kind of stupid. It was like a really unnatural position. And I was so happy that they finally changed that in this new Mosasaurus. And for the Super Colossal, for some reason, they did it again, which thankfully I didn't plan on getting the Super Colossal figure, but still, kind of really hate that position. I kind of understand how they did it to kind of make it like easier to hold and easier to display since its tail is shorter, but I just really like the more natural, just all the way out tail. Anyways, we got the Spinosaurus action feature. Of course, knock it down. Also, really big. The mouth is just large enough that it can kind of like put the entire Spinosaurus's, like, it can grab the Spinosaurus by its neck, definitely. Or by the tail. And again, I think it can just fit the entire Spinosaurus. Actually, yeah, you can just shove the entire Spinosaurus's head down the Mosasaurus's throat. It's just, oh man, you can really get it down there too. So yeah, the Mosasaurus could definitely eat the Spinosaurus if we wanted to, especially since it's way bigger in Rebirth compared to the Spino. So, yeah. Anyways, on to the next comparison. We need another dinosaur for these two dinosaurs to assault constantly, which is why I got this Dilophosaurus figure. Which, again, I think it would have been nice if they included a bigger Dilophosaurus, but I understand why they didn't, because you can't even get it past here just because of the frills. It doesn't fit any further than this. So I guess I understand why. But still, would have been nice. Maybe they could have included, like, the bootleg baby Protoceratops. That would have been nice, but maybe they didn't want their main, like, baby dinosaur to get eaten. Don't care. They should have put Dolores in this set. But, yeah, you can really not really fit it down there. Also, I don't think the blasting action feature doesn't really even work because, again, it doesn't really make contact with the mechanism, though. Maybe if I put the legs back. Possibly. Yeah, no, definitely not. It's just... Yeah, it's way too big to fit down there. Though something I forgot to do in the Spinosaurus review, again, is see how it sizes up next to the Dilophosaurus. I meant to do that, and I did it in some pictures. I just didn't feel like getting this guy off the shelf, so that's why I didn't do it. But I should have had it, like... So, I don't even know if the Spinosaurus is tall enough. Because actually, in the ad, they used, like, this minifigure. I think it is specifically the Dominion one. Or it might have been one of the Fallen Kingdom Dilophosaurus figures. They use it in the ad, and they pretty much have it get hit by the Spinosaurus tail and imply that the Mosasaurus grabbed it. But they obviously switched to the minifigure one. But I understand why they did it, but false advertisement. So, with the tail going. I think it thrashes to this direction a bit more, so let me do that. Yeah, I can just, like, if you tilt it back especially, it can definitely hit it towards the Mosasaurus, in which, let's say the Mosasaurus can actually catch it. We're recreating the advertisement from a Jurassic World figure to see how accurate they are. And the Mosasaurus can actually catch it, so I'd say the ad is, I like 80% true. Anyways, back onto the size comparisons. Again, sorry, what am I saying? Anyway, sorry, I got so sidetracked, but, here's the next to a T-Rex. I mean, pretty nice. 2 large Cretaceous predators. And also the Mosasaurus' head is massive. I want Mattel just to release a massive, like, Pliosaurus figure. That I'm begging just for a massive Pliosaurus figure. Just, like... Have the tail mechanism, it can be really short. Make the tail just like this long. That's enough to grab, honestly. And then just like have the like little fin thing. Have a button. Don't even need to give it the threshing action feature. Just give it the mouth opening action feature. Give it the articulated flippers. And this would be like, that would just be like a pretty much my ideal Pliosaurus figure. Either that or just make it another real feel figure like the older Mosasaurus. Either way, I'd be happy. Mattel, please just make a massive Pliosaurus figure. But again, compared to the T-Rex, it can, again, grab it by the throat. Honestly, I should have gotten the Indominus Rex. I'll probably get that off later. Because I got a bunch of figures to compare it to, but I didn't grab the Indominus Rex. But now I'm thinking about it. I probably should have done that. So, yeah. Anyways, that was it compared to the T-Rex. Here's the next to a regular Velociraptor. Which, another figure, again. Since the Dilophosaurus didn't fit, I know that the Velociraptor is not going to fit. Especially not this one, since this one doesn't even have articulated legs. But you can kind of put it like halfway down the throat. It can hold things in its mouth pretty well. Just can't put them down the throat where you can actually do the action feature to blast things out of its mouth. Which, I mean, maybe because the tail makes contact. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, let me try one more time. Yeah, kind of. This is my first Jurassic figure, and the reason I got it is because I couldn't find any videos of people actually using the action feature. I wanted to see what it was like where you push it down and it jumps. Which works 50% of the time. I think this action feature kind of works, but at the same time, it really doesn't. Kind of want to get a second one of these and like turn into a Procoptodon or something, but again, I'm getting sidetracked again. These reviews, I don't really... I'm very bad at sticking to schedule. I just like to ramble on, but again, here's the Sarcosuchus kind of compared to it, which actually is a pretty similar sized head. And I know we're getting Parasaurus soon, which I'm so excited to see that figure. But, yeah. The Sarcosuchus goes to about... I'd say about halfway down the body. Pretty much back to the button on the Mosasaurus. So, yeah. I'm saving the comparison to the actual, the previous real feel Mosasaurus to, like, pretty much close to the end. But, here's a small figure that might actually fit down its throat. The Mononychus, which looks way bigger. It's not right next to it. But, yeah, here's the Mononychus compared to it. Pretty small. And it can put the legs back. And it's pretty small. I don't think it's going to, like, completely let the mouth close, but it might get far enough that you can actually do the blade and blast action feature. The feet might be a bit too big, but this end should definitely fit. Definitely does. Again, does not close all the way, but it should be enough that we can actually get it to kind of throw it out, which actually it does work with the Mononychus. So if you have the Mononychus figure, either one, and then if you do it like this, it really does work. So yeah, I'd say this is easy. This is the biggest thing you can do the action feature with. I think that the Dilophosaurus would also work because they're pretty similar in size. It's just that it has the frill. If it wasn't for the frill, and like if it had like maybe like a better neck, actually maybe even the neck position is fine. I think just if it didn't have the frill, the Dilophosaurus would be able to, well, the bigger Dilophosaurus would actually work. Honestly, I don't think Mattel has released a Dilophosaurus without its frill, like outside of like ones where the frill is removable. which are like just the Hammond Collection ones. So I think it'd be really cool if they actually released like a frillless Dilophosaurus for the set, maybe with the Jurassic Park color scheme. I mean, Jurassic Park novels color scheme. But yeah, I think we're down to the marine reptiles now. So first we have my Plesiosaurus. That's the one repainted the Photoposaurus and Dinosaur King. But then we also have a Plesiosaurus, which sides up really nicely. They look really nice with this. Honestly, I'm curious why Mattel didn't re-release any of the Plesiosauruses or something. Like, honestly, I honestly would have loved to see a re-release of, like, Dacosaurus. That would have been cool to see. I know it would have been 2 marine reptiles in the same size range, but I'd rather see a re-release of a marine reptile than Proceratosaurus. But, yeah. Anyways, the Plesiosauruses are also too big to fit, but their necks do. Kind of. Not really. Honestly, anything with like a long, skinny neck fits down the mouth well enough that you can kind of do the action feature. If it has a long tail or a long neck, you can kind of get it to do the action feature. But yeah, you saw the Plesiosauruses next to it. Again, I know I'm only comparing it to the front half, but usually that's all I really need, and also it's kind of hard to get the whole thing on screen. But next, here's the Dacosaurus next to it. I know there's the Taurovenestes, which the Danger Packs and Strike Attacks have been on Walmart.com for a while, but they've just never been in stock for me. So, yeah, and also I haven't seen them in stores. I went to the store once and saw literally none of the mainline figures. I'll post that review soon. Might come out before this one. Only one I saw was of the, only actually mainline figure I saw was the Lab Lockdown T-Rex, and someone was walking away with it. So that is the only mainline figure I saw so far actually in stores. So, yeah. Anyways, Dacosaurus, here's it is. Then here is next to the Nothosaurus and Tanystropheus, which you can see definitely do sides up pretty cool. They look pretty cool next to it, but honestly, very small compared to it. Also, I feel like Mattel should re-release Tanystropheus to make it just better. Maybe even give it like the bendy neck. I know they've been doing bendy wire on some of the Hammond Collection figures. It'd be cool to see it on the mainline figure, mainly Tanystropheus. And again, I actually forgot to show you with the Dacosaurus trying to do the action feature, since I think that could possibly work. Though, yeah, no, Dacosaurus might actually... Oh, wait, no, maybe. Kind of just slides out of the mouth. Yeah, kind of works. Generally, anything Danger Pack size, if you can get it, like, far back enough in the mouth, then usually it kind of works. But next, we have it next to the medium marine reptiles. The Wild Roar ones, which I hope we get more medium ones, like maybe like a Symbospondylus. I just want an Ichthyosaur so bad, but yeah. Well, here's Liopleurodon and the Kronosaurus compared to it. I'm going to have to hold the Kronosaurus, but yeah, they also get dwarfed by this Mosasaurus figure. Absolutely colossal compared to the other marine reptiles that Mattel have released so far. Again, I think it's more. I know that I had some people say there's probably a rule they can't make anything bigger than gigantic triceratops for non-movie species. And I already think that rule should be broken for like Carcharodontosaurids, so we don't get a T-Rex every wave. We can get like a different different large carnivore every wave. But I think it'd be also cool to be like Mosasaurus. We could also get a giant Mosasaur-sized marine reptile like Tylosaurus, Prognathodon, and like many giant Ichthyosaurs and giant Pliosaurs like Pliosaurus and Ichthyosaurs. We have like Shonosaurus and Shastosaurus and Himalayasaurus. So I think that'd be cool, but a shame it's probably never going to happen. Anyways, we have this massive Elasmosaurus figure. So yeah, here's the Elasmosaurus compared to it, which actually goes pretty much back to the button, actually. Same for the Styxosaurus, and it's literally like the exact same size. Honestly, these new marine reptiles have really good patterns. But yeah, here it is kind of compared to each other. So yeah, also another bonus to having a giant Pliosaurus figure, they could give it the giant rubber teeth that stick out of the mouth. That would look so cool. But yeah. As long as they don't make it exaggerated like the Indostransauria teeth, I think a giant Pliosaurus figure would be really cool. Also, again, I am very surprised with this Liopleurodon figure they didn't give it giant oversized interlocking teeth. Since that's just kind of like what Mattel does. Liopleurodon had that, but they give it like a simple dinosaur mouth, which is kind of weird. I was expecting this figure to look like the Chap May one, where it's really exaggerated. So, yeah, we have a few more comparisons. Again, I'm saving that giant Mosasaurus for the end. Actually, I'll save my custom Himalayasaurus figure for later. Here's the next to the Safari Limited Tylosaurus, which is very small compared to it, which I cannot get to stand on there, but it's very small compared to it. Here's the next to, I believe, the Carnegie Collection Mosasaurus, which is like the size of this thing's head. It is so small. And then next, we have it next to the Safari Limited like Safari Limited Marine Reptiles to Tylosaurus. I have the other ones. I probably should have brought them in for the size comparison, but I only brought one other one, which is the tiny Ichthyosaurus figure. Because again, I just want an Ichthyosaurus from Mattel so badly. I'll take anything. It'd be cool if we got a minifigure kind of like this. Hopefully not like this, because this thing's literally as thin as a potato chip and it's yellow color, so that's not really helping. But again, it would have been really cool to get a little Ichthyosaurus figure. And then it could get completely swallowed by this massive Mosasaurus and get blasted out. Again, the action feature works well enough. Anyways, 2 more comparisons till we get to the Mosasaurus. Actually, you know what? I think I might save actually a few more. Anyways, here is my custom Helicoprion figure. I call it Helix, but yeah, pretty small compared to the Mosasaurus figure. Also, I just realized that its fin is broken. I'm guessing it got weak from that one time I brought it into the heat and it started melting, and I know it got some damage to the jaws where the articulation is a bit wonky now, but it is okay. The only issue now is that this flipper started to break. I'm guessing it probably got a weekend from that, because this happened like a year ago, I think. And I'm guessing it got weakened from that, and now it broke somehow. So I'm going to need to repair that soon, but anyways. Another Etsy figure. Well, that one wasn't Etsy, that was just a figure that I made. Here's one that was on the Etsy. The Polite Gentleman, or the Paleocestes. Here's it compared to it. You may be wondering why I bring this in, since it seems like a random marsupial from Pleistocene, Australia. It's a very random comparison, but I brought him in for a very specific reason. I literally just brought him in because I wanted to borrow the Polite Gentleman's top hat and put it on Mosasaurus, because yes, this just looks great. Honestly, if you want, comment down below if I should make little top hats just for like dinosaurs on my Etsy. Just don't know why, just be fun to make top hats for a bunch of prehistoric creatures. Because look at this. This is just great. If I don't know if there's anywhere you can buy any top hats, but if you can, then I definitely recommend getting one for this Mosasaurus, because it looks really nice. And it kind of actually just got pushed back over to here. So, yeah, anyways, put that top hat back onto the Polite Gentleman. And I'm running out of table space to put this. Now, I think it's time to compare it to the Mosasaurus. The old Mosasaurus. Well, I have my Himalayasaurus figure here, which, I might as well. Well, meant to say show that first, but accidentally dropped it on my tripod. But here's my Himalayasaurus figure, which is massive. It's like the exact same size as this thing in length. Yeah, my old Himalayasaurus figure. It's pretty much the same size as the Biting Blast Mosasaurus, so pretty big. This is like, I think this is still the biggest thing that I've made so far. So, yeah. Next, here is finally the Jurassic World Mosasaurus, which actually, I heard people saying that it's bigger, and I was thinking it wasn't, but no, it is definitely bigger. The head is, I think, like an inch longer. Not by too much, but, like, you can see those mouths open. This one is definitely just knocked a bunch of stuff down, but, yeah. You can see those teeth look so much better on the new one. This one doesn't even have the roof teeth painted, so, yeah, that's a shame. Anyways. Like, it's so much girthier than like the older Mosasaurus, and then also the tail, I think, might even possibly be slightly longer, since the tails are even like this, and this one's in an up position, so I think if it's straight out, it might be even slightly longer. So the old Mosasaurus is definitely bigger. Also, the flippers, I actually think I prefer the flipper shape on the old one. The new one, I'm not a big fan of the pointed ones, but they're actually almost the same size. This one just has proportionally longer flippers, I guess. So yeah, it's kind of cool to see these two compared to each other. Generally, this Mosasaurus is a bit bigger. If you have the real feel one, you'll see that the new Rebirth one is a bit smaller and more slender, more sleek, more streamlined. I had some people say that it would have been cooler if they called this Tylosaurus, which actually would have been pretty cool. Though I feel like I would have wanted them to make it even slimmer in the film and the actual figure. They wanted to call it Tylosaurus, maybe change the head shape up a little bit more. Because to be honest, I know I've gone on like 20 different side tangents during this video, but personally, if the Jurassic franchise ever introduces Tylosaurus into the films, which I do hope they do eventually, I want it to just either be an accurate Tylosaurus, maybe a bit oversized like the Mosasaurus, but generally an accurate Tylosaurus, or I want it to just be the Jurassic World of the game Tylosaurus. No in between, like Jurassic World Evolution 2, I really hate that Tylosaurus since it's not accurate, and also just generally the design doesn't look too good, in my opinion, so, yeah, I think it would be cool if they did, like, an actual accurate Tylosaurus. I guess this could kind of double as a Tylosaurus if you really wanted to call this one Tylosaurus and the other one Mosasaurus, but, yeah. Also, the little mini Dilophosaurus basically got buried under a pile of other figures over there. Here it is. Now I have, like, I mean, I guess I can do one more size comparison, kind of compared to the sauropod, but I'm not taking these guys off the shelf. They're too big. Sorry if the lighting's not as good. I just don't want to take these guys off the shelf. They're too big, but I'm going to put the Bite and Blast Mosasaurus kind of compared to the Dreadnoughtus. Kind of see it on my shelf. It is quite dwarfed by, that's probably why the Super Colossal one's kind of in scale. Again, sorry Gryphasugas, I gotta kind of crush you. Show it all the way back to the end of the tail pretty much. It's pretty much as long as the tail of the Dreadnoughtus, so pretty small comparatively. Next, we have it next to the Mosasaurus, where it is actually sizes up pretty nicely. And last but not least, this is a really long review video. Give me a minute. Here's it next to the Jurassic World Brachiosaurus, and if you go down to them, you kind of see it compared to like the Hammer Collection, Giganotosaurus, and other Hammer Collection figures, kind of, and the Beast of the Mesozoic figures. Pretty big. Just, I'm not going to compare it to all these. You can kind of just see them all kind of next to each other. Way bigger than them. So for my final thoughts on the new Jurassic World Rebirth Bite and Blast Mosasaurus, it's definitely an amazing figure. If you're a fan of the Mosasaurus from the film, which you should be since it's literally the best design in the movie, you can fight me on that. And just generally, I think it's just a great Mosasaurus design. I think it's even better than the Super Colossal version, which personally I think the sculpt looks a bit off, especially in the head. But like if you prefer it to be like size accurate, then definitely get the Hammond Collection one. But if you just want a better Mosasaurus figure, I definitely recommend this one. I think it's even if you have the previous Mosasaurus, I say it's worth getting. So yeah, this is just an amazing Jurassic World Rebirth figure. Definitely just a really good one. If I had to rank it, I think I don't know. I think it'd probably be number 3 of the figures I have so far. I think still Spinosaurus is my favorite. Then Utahraptor, I think it would go slightly behind the Spinosaurus. Then this figure. Don't get me wrong, I think it's amazing, but I still think that I put it behind the Utahraptor. And then the Myosaur last place, just because of the lack of paint. Anyways, definitely recommend this figure again. It's available on Walmart.com right now in the US, so yeah, that is where it's available. That's where I picked up this figure. I ordered it online. Apparently, it's been popping up in stores as well, so if you want to try your luck looking for it there, you can try looking there. I haven't had any luck, but yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!